This video is a comprehensive lecture on Introduction to Sociology. It covers the following key topics: first of all, overview of sociology, then the history of sociology, though we will discuss the role of sociologists in society. On the fourth number there is elaboration of the concept of sociological imagination, then sociology as an academic field, and on the last we will discuss the relevance of sociology in a changing world. Through this lecture, you will gain a foundational understanding of how sociology helps us interpret human behavior, social relationships, and the structure of societies. We will explore how sociology emerged as a response to rapid social changes such as industrialization, urbanization, and political revolutions. You will also learn about key figures in the development of sociology, including Auguste Comte, Karl Marx, Emile Durkheim, and Max Weber, and how their ideas continue to influence modern sociological thought. By understanding the sociological imagination, you'll discover how to connect personal experiences to broader societal patterns. This lecture is ideal for beginners and anyone interested in understanding how societies function, evolve, and respond to modern challenges such as globalization, technological change, inequality, and cultural transformation. The first lecture is titled as Introduction to Sociology, exploring the social nature of human life, in which we will discuss the systematic study of society, human relationships, and social behavior, and how sociology explores how people interact within groups, institutions, and cultures, and how these social structures influence individual lives. Sociology begins with a simple yet profound idea: human life is, at its core, a social experience. Every individual exists within a web of relationships and interactions that shape their identity and guide their journey through life. From birth to death, we are part of families, schools, workplaces, communities, and institutions. Even the rituals that honor our passing reflect the deeply social nature of our existence. Sociology is the discipline that seeks to understand these social arrangements, how they form, how they evolve, and how they influence the opportunities, limitations, and experiences that shape our lives. The term sociology comes from the Latin word socius meaning companion and the Greek word logos meaning study, making it literally the study of companionship. More broadly, sociology is often defined as the scientific study of the development, structure, and interaction of social relationships. But beyond definitions, key questions arise. What does sociology truly mean in practice? Why is it significant? How can it enrich our understanding of ourselves and the societies we live in? This lecture addresses those questions. It introduces the essential concepts of sociology and highlights its dynamic and practical relevance. Sociology allows us to explore how people live and interact within shared social worlds, worlds that encompass economies, politics, belief systems, cultural practices, and much more. Through sociology, we gain insight into the forces that shape our collective lives and begin to understand how broader social structures affect individual experiences. Sociology covers a vast range of human interactions, from the most intimate exchanges between two people to the large-scale patterns that shape entire societies. The scope of sociological inquiry includes families, communities, cities, and even international relations. With the rise of technology, the field has expanded to include virtual environments and online communities, acknowledging the significance of digital life in today's social world. Those who study and work in the field are known as sociologists. In his influential book Invitation to Sociology, Peter Berger describes sociologists as people with an insatiable curiosity about human behavior. To them, society is a constantly moving and ever-changing landscape, a living laboratory where every action, institution, or trend can reveal something about the human condition. This unending fascination means that the range of topics open to sociological inquiry is virtually limitless. As sociologist Michael Kimmel puts it, being a sociologist means never having to be bored. In sum, sociology offers a powerful lens through which we can examine the complexity of human life. It equips us with the tools to better understand both the world around us and our place within it, making it a discipline of enduring importance for individuals and societies alike. The second point is, what sociology offers. Sociology offers a unique lens through which to view and understand the world. It equips individuals with the tools to critically examine society, human behavior, and the forces that shape social life. A sociological look at the world provides a number of unique benefits and perspectives. So these are the major ways in which sociology benefits individuals and societies. Firstly, sociology provides an understanding of social issues and patterns of behavior. Secondly, sociology helps us understand the workings of the social systems within which we live our lives. Thirdly, sociology helps us understand why we perceive the world the way we do. Fourthly, sociology helps us identify what we have in common within and between cultures and societies. Fifthly, sociology helps us understand why and how society changes. Sixthly, sociology provides us theoretical perspectives within which to frame these understandings and research methods that allow us to study social life scientifically. And lastly, sociology is not just common sense. Let's discuss these 7 points one by one. The first point is sociology provides an understanding of social issues and patterns of behavior. It helps us identify the social rules that govern our lives. Sociologists study how these rules are created, maintained, changed, passed between generations, and shared between people living in various parts of the world. They also study what happens when these rules are broken. Second point is sociology helps us understand the workings of the social systems within which we live our lives. Sociologists put our interactions with others into a social context. This means they look not only at behaviors and relationships, but also how the larger world we live in influences these things. Social structures, which are defined as the way society is organized around the regulated ways people interrelate and organize social life, and social processes, which are defined as the way society operates, are at work shaping our lives in ways that often go unrecognized. Because of this perspective, sociologists will often say that, as individuals, we are social products. Even though we recognize their existence, these structures and processes may appear to people in the course of daily life as through a mysterious fog. Sociologists strive to bring these things out of the fog, to reveal and study them, and to examine and explain their interrelationships and their impacts on individuals and groups. By describing and explaining these social arrangements and how they shape our lives, sociologists help us to make sense of the world around us and better understand ourselves. Third point is sociology helps us understand why we perceive the world the way we do. We are inundated with messages in a variety of forms about how we, and the world around us, both are and should be. These messages come in forms as diverse as guidance from parents and teachers, laws handed down by religious and political entities, and advertisements ranging from pitches for athletic shoes to feeding hungry children. Sociology helps us examine the types of messages we are constantly receiving, their source, how and why they influence us, and our own roles in producing, perpetuating, and changing them. Fourth point is sociology helps us identify what we have in common within and between cultures and societies. Sociologists know that, although people in different parts of the city, country, or world dress differently, speak differently, and have many different beliefs and customs, many of the same types of social forces are at work shaping their lives. This is an especially important perspective in a world where media headlines are often accused of focusing on divisive issues. Sociologists look for what social structure and processes mean for various groups. They look at how various groups shape and are impacted by society. Sociologists can help groups find common concerns, understand other groups' perspectives, and find ways to work together rather than work at odds with each other. Fifth point is sociology helps us understand why and how society changes. Obviously, the social world is constantly changing. This change has been a major interest to sociologists from the beginning of the discipline. However, many sociologists believe that sociology should not stop with only explaining society and how and why the world changes. They argue that sociologists also have an obligation to act, using their unique skills and perspectives to work to improve the world. Sociology, they argue, is a field of inquiry simultaneously concerned with understanding, explaining, criticizing, and improving the human condition. Armed with a sociological perspective, we can more effectively take action if we don't like what is happening. We can better participate in shaping the future for ourselves and for others. Sixth point is, sociology provides us theoretical perspectives within which to frame these understandings and research methods that allow us to study social life scientifically. Sociology is a social science. That means sociologists work to understand society in very structured, disciplined ways. Like scientists who study the physical world, sociologists follow scientific guidelines that incorporate an assortment of theories and methods that provide for accuracy in gathering, processing, and making sense of information. In the case of sociology, theories focus on how social relationships operate. They provide a way of explaining these relationships. Scientific methods provide ways of generating accurate research results. Seventh point is sociology is not just common sense, as sociology often challenges widely held beliefs that common sense is based on personal experience, which can be narrow and biased, and sociological research reveals hidden patterns and causes that defy surface-level explanations. Peter Berger, in 1963, warned that sociology isn't for those afraid of shocking discoveries or losing the comfort of familiar beliefs. Results of sociological research may be unexpected. They often show that things are not always, or even usually, what they initially seem. People who like to avoid shocking discoveries, who prefer to believe that society is just what they were taught in Sunday school, who like the safety of the rules and maxims of what Alfred Schultz has called the world taken for granted, should stay away from sociology. This challenge means that sociological findings are often at odds with so-called common sense, or those things that everybody knows. What we think of as common sense, or something that everybody knows, is actually based on our own experiences and the ideas and stereotypes we hold. This gives us a very limited view of how the larger world actually is. Taking a sociological perspective requires that we look beyond our individual experiences to better understand everyday life. It allows us to look for the social forces that impact our lives and form those experiences. Once we have a solid understanding of these forces, we can better address them. Here is an example justifying that sociology is not just common sense. For example, there is a common perception that suicide is an act of those with individual psychological problems. However, an early sociological study of suicide by Emile Durkheim revealed the importance of social factors, including relationships within church and family, in suicide. Another common perception is that crimes are always committed by some criminal element, identifiable as troublemakers. In his textbook on social problems, Thomas Saliva introduces the chapter on crime by arguing that this is a far too simplistic view of criminality. He notes a study in which researchers abandoned a car on a New York City street and watched from a hidden position to see if it was vandalized and by whom. The vandals discovered by the researchers included a family, a person with a toddler in a stroller, and many people who were well dressed and interacted with people who passed by during their activities. In this lecture, we will discuss the history of sociology. Sociology, the scientific study of society and human behavior, did not emerge overnight. Its roots stretch deep into ancient philosophy and evolved through centuries of intellectual, social, and political transformation. From early thinkers like Confucius and Aristotle to modern scholars like Patricia Hill Collins, the discipline has continually adapted to understand the complexities of changing societies. The history of sociology is a rich tapestry woven from philosophical inquiry, revolutionary thought, and social reform. While the formal discipline took shape in the 19th century, its foundations were laid centuries earlier by thinkers who grappled with questions of justice, power, and human interaction. Born out of the upheavals of industrialization, revolution, and Enlightenment thought, sociology emerged as a discipline aimed at understanding and improving the human condition. But long before it became a formal science, its ideas had already begun to form in the reflections of ancient and medieval scholars. So let's start how sociology has evolved over time. The first point is ancient foundations of sociological thought. 6th to 4th century BCE, sociology has its earliest intellectual roots in classical philosophy. Thinkers like Confucius, 551 to 479 BCE, in China, and Plato, 427 to 347 BCE, and Aristotle, 384 to 322 BCE, in Greece, reflected on society, justice, governance, and the ideal social order. Their inquiries into human behavior and the structure of society laid the groundwork for sociological thinking. Confucius emphasized moral harmony, social hierarchy, and the importance of education and family in maintaining societal order. In the West, Plato's vision of a just society in the Republic introduced the idea of a stratified society governed by philosopher kings. Aristotle, considered one of the earliest political sociologists, analyzed different forms of government and introduced the concept of humans as inherently social animals. Although these thinkers did not practice sociology in its modern empirical form, their philosophical explorations deeply influenced later efforts to understand and organize society. So the point is, these ancient reflections on social order, justice, and governance provided the philosophical foundation upon which the modern discipline of sociology would later be built. Second point is medieval contributions to sociological thinking, 13th to 14th century CE. In the 13th century, Chinese historian Ma Tuanlin wrote Wen Xin Tung Cao, analyzing historical events through the lens of social factors, one of the first known sociological approaches to history. In the 14th century, Ibn Khaldun, 1332 to 1406, an Arab scholar, developed a sophisticated analysis of Arab society, social cohesion, asabiya, and the rise and fall of civilizations. His work is widely considered a precursor to modern sociology. These medieval contributions, though emerging in different parts of the world, demonstrated a growing interest in understanding society through observation, comparison, and analysis, principles that would later define the modern sociological method. Together, Ma Tuan-lin and Ibn Khaldun laid an early intellectual foundation for viewing history and society through a sociological lens. The third point is the Enlightenment and the birth of social analysis. 17th to 18th century, the Enlightenment marked a turning point in the development of social thought. For the first time, philosophers sought to explain the social world through reason and empirical observation rather than religious ideology. Prominent thinkers included John Locke, David Hume, Voltaire, Immanuel Kant, Montesquieu, Thomas Hobbes, and Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Their emphasis on liberty, the social contract, and human rights laid the intellectual foundation for the emergence of sociology. So to elaborate more, this period was characterized by a growing belief in rationality, progress, and the capacity of human beings to shape their own destinies. Philosophers began to question the divine right of kings, the rigidity of feudal hierarchies, and the authority of the church. Instead, they promoted ideas such as equality before the law, popular sovereignty, and the importance of education. The Enlightenment thinkers laid the groundwork for the idea that society operates according to discoverable laws, much like the natural world. This belief encouraged systematic observation of social behavior and inspired later thinkers to develop theories about the structure and function of societies. Furthermore, the rise of scientific inquiry and the success of the scientific revolution inspired Enlightenment thinkers to apply similar methods to understanding society. This shift in thinking ultimately contributed to the rise of disciplines such as economics, political science, and, most significantly, sociology. Their ideas influenced not only intellectual thought but also political revolutions, such as the American and French revolutions, which demonstrated the power of collective action and the reimagining of social order. Thus, the Enlightenment was instrumental in transforming the way people understood society and in establishing the intellectual roots of modern social sciences. The fourth point to elaborate the history of sociology is the birth of sociology as a discipline. Early, mid-19th century, in the 1800s, scholars shifted their attention from ideal societies to understanding how societies actually functioned. Auguste Comte, 1798 to 1857, often called the father of sociology, coined the term sociology in his work Positive Philosophy, 1838. He introduced positivism, a scientific approach to studying society, and proposed that human history progresses through three stages: the theological, religious explanations; the metaphysical, philosophical abstractions; the scientific/positivist, empirical investigation. Kant believed sociological knowledge could be used to reform society and guide social progress. To further illustrate the idea of him, Comte believed that society operates according to its own laws, much like the physical world, and that these laws could be discovered through careful study. He envisioned sociology as the queen of the sciences, meant to unify all fields of knowledge and guide humanity toward a more stable and progressive future. Kant also emphasized the importance of social order and stability, especially in a time when Europe was experiencing upheavals due to revolution and industrialization. He advocated for a technocratic elite, scientifically trained experts, who would use sociological knowledge to govern wisely and implement reforms for the benefit of all. His ideas laid the foundation for future sociological thought and methodology, influencing thinkers such as Emile Durkheim, who expanded on Kant's ideas of social facts and collective consciousness, and Herbert Spencer, who applied evolutionary theory to the study of society. Through Kant's pioneering work, sociology emerged as a distinct and vital discipline aimed at understanding and improving the human condition. The fifth point is sociology and social change in the industrial era, mid-late 19th century. As all of us know that, the Industrial Revolution and political upheavals of the 18th and 19th centuries led to profound social transformations that early sociologists sought to understand and reform. As Karl Marx, 1818 to 1883, focused on class conflict and economic inequality, blaming capitalism for social injustice. And Friedrich Engels, 1820 to 1895, collaborated with Marx to expose the exploitation of workers. And Max Weber, 1864 to 1920, analyzed authority, bureaucracy, and the role of religion in shaping society. And Emile Durkheim, 1858 to 1917, emphasized social integration, collective norms, and educational reform, helping to establish sociology as an academic discipline. So, these thinkers were foundational in shaping sociology as a discipline. They developed critical frameworks to understand how industrialization, capitalism, and modern institutions were reshaping human relationships, class structures, and social values. Their insights remain central to contemporary sociology, influencing debates on inequality, governance, identity, and social justice. The sixth point to elaborate the history of sociology is applied sociology and social reform in the United States, late 19th, early 20th century. American sociologists adopted a more practical and reform-oriented approach. Jane Addams, 1860 to 1935, founded Hull House in Chicago to support poor immigrants, offering social services, education, and cultural opportunities. Lewis Worth, 1897 to 1952, applied sociological research to understand child behavior and establish guidance clinics. During World War II, sociologists studied soldier morale, training effectiveness, and attitudes to aid the war effort. This era also saw the growth of sociology departments in many American universities. The professionalization of the discipline, and increased collaboration between academic researchers and policymakers. The work of early reformers and applied sociologists laid the foundation for public sociology, which continues to advocate for using sociological knowledge to address societal issues and promote social justice. Next point is practical innovations in everyday sociology. 20th century, sociologists contributed to everyday life and institutional development. William Foote White, 1914 to 2000, improved restaurant service systems with innovative order tools. Robert K. Merton, 1910 to 2003, introduced the focus group, now widely used in marketing and social research. Sociological language has entered common discourse. Phrases like extenuating circumstances and fighting the system reflect sociological insights into social forces and structures. As sociology grew more accessible, its language and concepts began to permeate everyday speech. Terms such as extenuating circumstances, systemic bias, social roles, and fighting the system reflect a public awareness of structural forces, institutional barriers, and the complexity of individual agency within society. This diffusion of sociological thinking into popular culture helped people make sense of inequality, identity, and social responsibility in a more informed way. Additionally, sociological insights have shaped areas such as education reform, healthcare delivery, urban planning, criminal justice, and organizational behavior. From analyzing the causes of homelessness to improving workplace diversity and inclusion, 20th century sociology increasingly bridged the gap between academic research and everyday problem solving. This period reaffirmed the value of sociology as a tool not just for understanding society, but for changing it, one policy, community, or institution at a time. The eighth point is sociology and civil rights activism. Early, mid-20th century, sociologists played key roles in the civil rights movement and struggles for racial justice. Ida B. Wells Barnett, 1862–1931, published pioneering work opposing lynching. W. E. B. Du Bois, 1868–1963, was a lifelong scholar and activist on race and inequality. Gunnar Myrdal's An American Dilemma, 1944, exposed the contradiction between American democratic ideals and racial injustice. Charles G. Gamillion challenged gerrymandering that disenfranchised black voters, contributing to a landmark Supreme Court ruling. These scholars and activists used sociological inquiry not just to study racism but to dismantle it. Their efforts bridged academia and activism, demonstrating the power of social science to influence law, education, policy, and public awareness. They helped shape a legacy of engaged sociology, committed to equality, human dignity, and structural reform, values that continue to inspire civil rights movements today. Next point to illustrate the history of sociology is Rediscovering Women and Scholars of Color in Sociology, late 19th to 20th century. Despite their vital contributions, early women and sociologists of color were long ignored. Harriet Martineau, 1802–1876, who translated and condensed Comte's positive philosophy, is recognized as the mother of sociology. Richard Robert Wright, 1870–1947, became the first African American to earn a Ph.D. in sociology in 1911. Many of these scholars fought for suffrage, racial equality, and justice while developing sociological insights. These scholars often worked outside formal academic institutions or were denied positions in elite universities due to their race or gender. Nevertheless, they engaged deeply with the core issues of their time: inequality, power, and social reform, developing perspectives that enrich and expand the field of sociology today. Their rediscovery has prompted a broader effort within sociology to revisit its own history, challenge exclusionary narratives, and integrate the diverse voices that have shaped the discipline from its very beginnings. By reclaiming their legacies, modern sociology becomes more inclusive, historically honest, and socially relevant. Contemporary contributions and intersectional sociology, late 20th century, present. Today, women and scholars of color continue to shape sociology through research, activism, and institutional reform. Their work addresses the complexities of identity, power, and inequality in an increasingly globalized and interconnected world. By embracing diverse perspectives and lived experiences, contemporary sociologists are expanding the boundaries of the discipline and challenging traditional paradigms, as Dorothy Smith transformed research methodology with her standpoint theory. And Rosabeth Moss Kanter became a leading voice in organizational sociology. And Cora May Ritchie Mann critiqued the criminal justice system for its bias against minorities and women. And William Julius Wilson examined the intersection of race, class, and urban poverty. And Patricia Hill Collins developed the influential theory of intersectionality, showing how race, class, and gender are interlinked in shaping social outcomes. These and other contemporary scholars have made sociology more inclusive, responsive, and socially engaged. Their contributions highlight the importance of integrating multiple perspectives to fully understand the complexities of modern life. From global migration and climate justice to digital inequality and gender identity, today's sociologists are at the forefront of analyzing and addressing the urgent challenges of our time. In doing so, they continue the discipline's long-standing commitment to justice, equity, and critical inquiry, ensuring that sociology remains not only a tool for understanding society, but also a catalyst for transforming it. To sum up, I would like to tell you that, the history of sociology is a story of evolving inquiry into how societies function and how they can be improved. From ancient philosophical questions to contemporary research on intersectionality and justice, sociology has developed as both a science and a tool for social reform. It remains a dynamic field, shaped by diverse voices, dedicated to understanding and transforming the world. In this lecture we will discuss the role of sociologists in society. So as you know, sociology, once confined largely to academic settings and theoretical discussions, has grown into a dynamic field with widespread real-world applications. And I would like to say that, in today's world, sociologists are not just researchers or educators, they are active contributors to a wide array of social, political, and technological spheres. From solving community problems and shaping public policy to making contributions in entertainment, sports, and government, sociologists continue to play a vital role in understanding and improving society. This expanding influence highlights the relevance and versatility of sociology in the contemporary world. As you know, the role of sociologists in society today goes far beyond just academic research and classroom teaching. And contemporary sociologists are building upon the foundations laid by early sociological thinkers, using their knowledge and skills to influence a wide range of social, economic, and political arenas. Many sociologists, particularly those known as applied or clinical sociologists, are directly engaged in solving real-world problems by applying sociological theories and methods outside the traditional academic framework. To further elaborate the role of sociologists in society, I would like to say that these sociologists contribute meaningfully to community life in a variety of ways. For instance, they work in conflict resolution and mediation, using sociological insight into group behavior, power dynamics, and communication to help resolve disputes. Others contribute to improving public services, such as expanding access to telecommunication services for individuals with speech disabilities, or devising better support systems for victims of violence. Sociologists also play a crucial role in designing more effective social environments, ranging from child care centers and schools to office spaces and entertainment venues like nightclubs. These efforts are grounded in the understanding of how humans interact within physical and social spaces, aiming to foster healthier, more functional settings. The field is also expanding into emerging areas like technology and interdisciplinary research. Sociologists increasingly collaborate with scientists, engineers, and futurists to examine how social structures are impacted by technological advancements and to anticipate the societal implications of innovation. For example, they may study how social media influences identity formation or how automation affects labor markets and social inequality. Interestingly, the reach of sociology extends far beyond conventional career paths. Many individuals who studied sociology have gone on to achieve fame and influence in other domains. Peter Dreyer compiled a sociology all-star team to highlight this phenomenon. This list includes a diverse array of personalities from entertainment, sports, and public life who were trained in sociology. For instance, actors Robin Williams, Deborah Winger, and Dan Aykroyd majored in sociology, as did Regis Philbin, a television host. In the sports world, sociology graduates include Alonzo Mourning, a renowned NBA player, Joe Theismann, an NFL Hall of Fame quarterback, and Ahmad Rashad, a sportscaster. Even Olympic gold medalist Gail Devers studied sociology. Moreover, many prominent figures in social reform, politics, and literature have been sociologists or were trained in the discipline. As we know that Saul Bellow, who won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1976, had a background in sociology. Jane Addams and Emily Balch, both recipients of the Nobel Peace Prize, made significant contributions to social reform, peace movements, and the improvement of urban life. Perhaps one of the most influential figures to study sociology was Martin Luther King Jr., whose sociological understanding of inequality and collective behavior played a key role in the civil rights movement. Frances Perkins, an industrial sociologist, worked to enhance labor conditions and became the first woman to serve in a U.S. presidential cabinet. She was the Secretary of Labor under President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Even Ronald Reagan, the 40th President of the United States, held a degree in sociology, illustrating the discipline's broad applicability and influence. To conclude this topic, I would like to say that sociology equips individuals with a deep understanding of social behavior, institutions, inequality, and change. This knowledge allows them to function effectively in a wide variety of roles, whether improving society directly through social services and reform, or influencing culture and public opinion through the arts, sports, and leadership. Contemporary sociologists continue to show that sociology is not just an academic subject, but a powerful tool for social transformation and public engagement. The title of this lecture, The Sociological Imagination, Understanding the Link Between Self and Society. In this lecture we will discuss the concept of sociological imagination, that is a powerful tool that enables us to see the hidden links between personal experiences and larger social forces. Introduced by renowned sociologist C. Wright Mills, this idea helps us understand how our private lives are shaped by public issues, like how unemployment, divorce, or inequality are not just personal troubles, but symptoms of broader social patterns. In this lecture, we will explore how developing a sociological imagination allows individuals to think critically, make sense of societal change, and become active participants in shaping the world around them. The concept of the sociological imagination, introduced by American sociologist C. Wright Mills, is one of the most fundamental ideas in sociology. Mills, who taught at Columbia University during the mid-20th century, believed that to understand society and our place within it, we must learn to connect personal experiences with larger social forces. The sociological imagination allows individuals to perceive the intersection between their personal biographies and the broader historical and societal context. Let's discuss what is the sociological imagination. As we know, the sociological imagination refers to the ability to see how personal issues are often rooted in broader social or historical processes. Rather than viewing personal problems like unemployment, divorce, or poverty purely as individual failures or private misfortunes, Mills encourages us to ask broader questions. What are the social patterns that shape these problems? What public or structural issues might be at play? By doing this, we begin to see that many individual troubles are actually public issues influenced by complex social structures such as the economy, political systems, race, gender roles, and class divisions. The next point is biography and history, the core of Mills' idea. Mills emphasized the importance of understanding the connection between biography, individual life stories, and history, the larger social world. For example, he argued that a person losing their job should not simply be blamed for lacking motivation or skills. Instead, if unemployment becomes widespread, it is more accurate to view it as a public issue, perhaps caused by economic downturns, automation, outsourcing, or structural changes in the labor market. In his famous book The Sociological Imagination, 1959, Mills illustrates this connection with vivid examples. When a society is industrialized, a peasant becomes a worker, a feudal lord is liquidated or becomes a businessman. When wars happen, an insurance salesman becomes a rocket launcher. These transformations show how personal life paths are deeply shaped by societal changes. One's job, role in the family, or life trajectory often depends on events and systems much larger than any individual can control. The next point to further elaborate the concept of sociological imagination is avoiding the trap of individualism. Let me describe what does the term avoiding the trap of individualism in sociological imagination mean. One of the most important lessons of the sociological imagination, as introduced by Wright Mills, is the need to move beyond individual explanations of social problems and recognize the broader social and structural forces at play. This is known as avoiding the trap of individualism, a common tendency to interpret personal experiences and life outcomes solely in terms of individual choices, abilities, or failings, rather than viewing them within a larger societal context. So, as we know, without a sociological imagination, people may misinterpret personal problems as isolated and individual. For instance, someone facing unemployment may assume it is entirely their fault, perhaps they didn't try hard enough or lacked necessary skills. This narrow thinking ignores the reality that even hardworking, skilled people may face joblessness during a recession or due to shifts in the economy. Mills calls this a misunderstanding of how social structures influence opportunity. The very structure of opportunities has collapsed. Understanding these broader contexts prevents people from falling into the trap of self-blame and from proposing ineffective individual-level solutions to large-scale problems. It also prevents us from wrongly blaming others for problems that are rooted in institutional failure or systemic inequality. Empowerment through understanding. This point elaborates that Mills believed that developing a sociological imagination empowers people. By recognizing how social forces shape their lives, individuals are less likely to become passive victims of those forces. Instead, they can begin to see where they might have the power to create change, either in their personal lives or in society at large. For instance, when individuals understand how gender roles have historically disadvantaged women in the workplace, they may become more active in fighting for equal pay or workplace equity. Similarly, understanding systemic racism might inspire people to challenge discriminatory policies or advocate for more inclusive practices. To conclude this topic, I would like to say that the sociological imagination is not just a way of thinking, it's a critical tool for social change. It enables people to shift from blaming themselves or others to analyzing how institutions, history, and power structures shape outcomes. Wright Mills' vision was that if more people adopted this perspective, society would be better equipped to understand its problems and find more just and effective solutions. By learning to connect biography with history, individuals and societies alike can navigate challenges more wisely and work toward a more equitable and informed world. Today, the topic is sociology as an academic discipline, as we know that sociology is the systematic and scientific study of human society and social behavior. Although human beings have always reflected on social life, sociology emerged as a distinct academic discipline in the 19th century in response to rapid social changes brought about by industrialization, urbanization, and political revolutions. As one of the youngest social sciences, sociology examines the complexities of social institutions, group dynamics, and cultural norms, offering valuable insights into the structure and functioning of society. And today, sociology is a dynamic field that intersects with many other disciplines, contributing to a deeper understanding of both individual and collective life. First of all, we will discuss the origins of the social sciences. As we know, the emergence of sociology as a distinct academic discipline came relatively late in the intellectual history of the social sciences. I would like to say that the social sciences emerged as systematic efforts to understand human behavior, society, and the functioning of social institutions, evolving in response to major historical shifts such as industrialization, urbanization, and political change, and, among the earliest social sciences was economics, which evolved in the 1700s through the collection and analysis of data for taxation and business purposes. Later, history was formalized as an academic field in the early 1800s, followed by psychology, which originated from the disciplines of medicine, philosophy, and education. Anthropology, on the other hand, took root as Europeans explored new continents and encountered diverse societies in the Americas, Africa, and Asia. Now we will discuss the birth of sociology in Europe, as you know that sociology was established as a separate academic discipline in the mid to late 1800s in Europe, making it one of the youngest of the social sciences. Initially, sociology was hardly distinguishable from political science, with early sociologists writing extensively about political matters outside of formal academia. As a discipline, sociology began to attract scholars from a wide range of academic backgrounds. For instance, Emile Durkheim and Max Weber studied law, Charles Horton Cooley was trained in economics, Lester Ward in biology, and George Simmel in philosophy. So, this interdisciplinary origin shaped the richness and diversity of sociological thought. The next point is development of sociology in the United States. Sociology grew significantly in the United States alongside the expansion and modernization of higher education. In 1876, William Graham Sumner at Yale University taught the first recognized sociology course in the U.S. The University of Chicago played a pivotal role by establishing the first graduate sociology department in 1892. By 1910, many colleges offered sociology courses, and by the 1940s, full-fledged sociology departments had become common across American universities. The subject was also introduced at the high school level in 1911-12, showing its rising educational importance. Now we will discuss sociology in Europe and the impact of world wars. While sociology developed in Germany and France during the same period, it faced severe setbacks during the world wars, especially under Nazi rule, which was hostile to the field. Many prominent European sociologists were either killed or forced into exile, primarily to the U.S. After World War II, European sociology was revitalized by scholars returning from the U.S. with new perspectives, thereby solidifying American sociology's global influence in theory and empirical research. I would like to further elaborate the point is that after the end of World War II, there was a slow but determined effort to revive sociology in Europe. Many European scholars who had studied or worked in the U.S. brought back new theoretical approaches and empirical techniques, contributing to the rebuilding of sociology departments and research institutes across Germany, France, and beyond. This post-war revival allowed European sociology to reclaim its intellectual heritage while also integrating global perspectives, paving the way for renewed academic dialogue and the eventual rise of diverse schools of sociological thought across the continent. Global expansion of sociology is the next point of discussion under the topic sociology as an academic discipline, as we know that the 1970s marked a significant period of renewed growth in sociology across Britain and Europe, as well as around the world. In Germany, most universities now offer sociology degrees up to the doctorate level, with various institutes supporting academic and applied research. In Japan, Sociology was initially introduced in the late 1800s through German influence but came to be shaped strongly by American theories after the 1960s. And, in India, the roots of sociology can be traced to British civil servants and missionaries during the colonial era who studied native societies for administration and missionary work. One of the forerunners, Thomas Robert Malthus, was a political economist at the East India Company's College. Thus, formal instruction in sociology began in early 20th century India, and today the subject is widely taught, with several prominent research institutes engaged in sociological inquiry. The next point is institutionalization and professional organizations, as it has discussed earlier that sociology has matured into a dynamic field with numerous specializations. The American Sociological Association, ASA, was founded in 1905 with just 115 members. By 2004, it had grown to nearly 14,000 members and over 40 specialized sections addressing topics such as family, law, religion, sexuality, emotions, work, and aging. Similarly, the International Sociological Association, ISA, had more than 3,300 members from 91 countries by 2004. The ISA's research committees covered over 50 specific thematic areas, highlighting the global and interdisciplinary nature of the field. The last point of discussion is that, interdisciplinary influences and contributions, sociology has always overlapped with and drawn from other disciplines while contributing to them in return. For example, Herbert Spencer, an early sociologist, used the concept of structure, which has since been adopted in fields like anthropology and political science. Many sociological theories and methods underpin the practice of social work, and sociology has helped to shape social psychology, a hybrid field that bridges psychology's focus on the individual with sociology's emphasis on social interaction and influence. And further, I would like to say that, in recent years, even non-traditional topics such as human-animal relationships have become a part of sociological inquiry. Sociologists like Alger and Alger, Arluck and Sanders, and others have developed this emerging subfield. Courses on animals and society are now being offered at universities, reflecting the evolving and inclusive nature of sociological exploration. To conclude this topic, I would like to say that, sociology's journey from a marginal offshoot of philosophy and political science to a full-fledged and respected academic discipline reveals its remarkable adaptability and relevance. Its global growth, interdisciplinary nature, and expanding areas of interest make it a vital lens through which to understand human behavior, social structures, and cultural patterns. From education and economics to race, gender, and even animal studies, sociology continues to evolve and illuminate the intricate relationships between individuals and society. Today the topic of discussion is sociology in a changing world, as the world rapidly transforms through globalization, technological advancement, and shifting cultural dynamics. The study of sociology has become more important than ever. Sociology in a changing world explores how social relationships, institutions, and behaviors are evolving in response to new global realities. From the rise of the Internet to the interconnectedness of global economies, sociologists are expanding their focus to understand the complexities of modern life and the challenges and opportunities that emerge in an increasingly interconnected world. Adapting to social transformation is most discussing point of the topic, adapting to social transformation, as we know that, the world today is more interconnected, complex, and fast-paced than ever before. As society evolves, so too must the discipline of sociology. Furthermore, I would like to say that, sociologists are increasingly focusing their attention on new forms of social interaction, shifting global dynamics, and the technological transformations that redefine how we live, communicate, and engage with one another. From face-to-face interactions to digital engagements via the internet and email, the scope of sociological inquiry has expanded to reflect the changes shaping our modern world. The world today is more interconnected, complex, and fast-paced than ever before. As society evolves, so too must the discipline of sociology. Sociologists are increasingly focusing their attention on new forms of social interaction, shifting global dynamics, and the technological transformations that redefine how we live, communicate, and engage with one another. From face-to-face interactions to digital engagements via the internet and email, the scope of sociological inquiry has expanded to reflect the changes shaping our modern world. The next point is globalization and the shrinking social world, one of the most significant forces reshaping societies across the globe is globalization. Although over 6 billion people inhabit the Earth, the rise of jet travel, telecommunications, the internet, and 24/7 satellite news has made the world feel much smaller, socially, economically, and culturally. And sociologists argue that globalization has eroded traditional geographical boundaries, fostering increased cultural awareness and creating new patterns of social life. For instance, the popularity of soccer in the US, the global appeal of Hollywood movies and American fashion, and multinational trade agreements like NAFTA all reflect the global interconnectedness of cultures and economies. And further, I would like to elaborate the point that globalization continues to blur national boundaries, shaping a shared social reality where local actions have global consequences and global trends influence everyday life across the world. Let us now turn our attention to debates surrounding globalization. Globalization is a widely debated and controversial topic. Scholars differ on when globalization began. Some trace its origins to ancient trade routes and colonialism, while others see it as a post-World War II phenomenon. There are also varying opinions on its impact. Some view globalization as a force of progress and integration, while others critique it for increasing inequality, eroding local cultures, and concentrating power in the hands of a few global actors. Regardless of the stance taken, globalization has compelled sociologists to look beyond national boundaries and explore the complex networks that link societies, economies, and cultures across the globe, and I would like to add that globalization challenges sociologists to adopt a broader, more interconnected perspective, recognizing that understanding today's social realities requires examining the global forces that shape local lives. Now, we will discuss the world systems perspective of sociology in a changing world. One significant framework that sociologists use to understand globalization is the world systems perspective, which emerged in the 1970s. This approach emphasizes the interdependence of countries in a global economic and political system, categorizing nations into core, semi-peripheral, and peripheral regions based on their roles in the global economy. Sociologists such as Chase Dunn and Grimes have used this model to analyze how economic power and inequality are structured on a global scale. This perspective is explored further in sociological studies on global inequality and economic systems, and, ultimately, the world systems perspective offers a powerful lens for understanding how global hierarchies of power and wealth shape the social and economic conditions of nations and their people. The next point is technology and social interaction, as we know that technological innovation has always been a key area of sociological interest, particularly in how it transforms social interaction. The development of communication and information technologies has intensified globalization and reshaped everyday life. These technologies often produce unanticipated social consequences. And I would like mention notable example of the telephone, which initially emerged as a business communication tool but gradually evolved into a means of personal and social connection, profoundly altering social norms and behaviors. To conclude this point, technology continues to redefine the way individuals connect and communicate, prompting sociologists to examine its far-reaching and often unexpected impacts on social relationships and cultural patterns. The Internet and digital society is very important point of discussion. Sociology in a changing world, perhaps the most transformative technological advancement of recent decades is the Internet. What began as a tool used by a small, computer-literate elite in the early 1990s quickly expanded into a global platform that permeates nearly every aspect of modern life. Sociologists now study how the Internet is used for social networking, business, education, entertainment, news, activism, propaganda, and even crime. The digital world has created new arenas of social behavior, from online communities and digital dating to virtual protests and global misinformation campaigns. Thus, I would like to say to illustrate this point is that, the rise of the Internet has revolutionized the social landscape, compelling sociologists to explore how digital spaces are reshaping human interaction, identity, and the structure of society itself. The last point of discussion is new frontiers in sociological research. The rise of the digital age has led sociologists to explore new areas of inquiry, including online identity formation, digital inequality, cyberbullying, and the impact of social media on mental health, democracy, and public opinion. While most agree that the Internet has fundamentally changed society, debates continue over whether these changes are mostly beneficial, harmful, or a mixture of both. As such, sociology has had to adapt by incorporating new methods and theoretical frameworks to study these virtual spaces and their real-world consequences. To conclude this topic, sociology in a changing world, I would like to say that, in a rapidly changing world, sociology remains a vital discipline for understanding the shifting landscape of human life. Globalization and technological innovation have transformed the way people interact, perceive one another, and organize society. These changes require sociologists to move beyond traditional boundaries and engage with complex, transnational, and digital phenomena. Whether investigating the cultural impacts of global trade or the societal implications of artificial intelligence and the Internet, sociologists continue to play a crucial role in making sense of the modern world.